Okay, we are diving deep today into a pretty specific forecast window. We're looking at the end of October 2025, that's the 27th through the 31st. And we've got quite a stack of source material here. And honestly, the picture it paints for Europe looks, well, pretty far from your typical late fall weather.
It really does. It's shaping up to be a highly volatile period, a significant departure from the climatological norms. Our goal here is really to cut straight to the core atmospheric drivers because the analysis points towards a medium to high risk of potent Atlantic storm systems.
Potent Atlantic storms.
Yeah, driven by a really energetic North Atlantic jet stream. And it looks like they're aimed pretty squarely at Northwest Europe.
Right, okay. And that jet stream, it's not just acting up on its own, is it? There are bigger forces at play. Something that really stood out in the sources was this link, maybe a surprising link, to a weak La Nina event way over in the equatorial Pacific. How does that connect?
It seems counterintuitive, distance-wise,
Yeah.
but it's a classic example of what we call atmospheric teleconnection.
Those global domino effects.
Exactly. La Nina conditions tend to enhance these large-scale planetary wave patterns, and that, in turn, often favors a wavier, more variable, more energetic North Atlantic jet stream. That variability is really the key ingredient here.
And it's fascinating, because La Nina is also strongly linked to more active Atlantic hurricane seasons, which we definitely saw in 2025. Remember Gabrielle and Humberto?
That's right. And that connects the dots immediately. It's not the hurricanes themselves hitting Europe, obviously. It's their decaying remnants. As these post-tropical systems move north, they inject this massive amount of leftover energy and moisture into the mid-latitudes.
Like fuel for the fire.
Precisely. It basically turbocharges the environment for developing storms over the Atlantic. It can trigger that rapid, sometimes violent intensification of low-pressure systems, what we call explosive cyclogenesis.
Or bomb cyclogenesis.
Yeah, same thing. We saw a pretty potent example earlier this month, actually, when Storm Amy kind of absorbed the remnants of Humberto and rapidly deepened.
So we've got this tropical fuel coming in. But the sources also emphasize the atmosphere over Europe is already sort of preloaded.
That's a great way to put it. It's critical context. We had those cold outbreaks earlier in October. They established an unusually strong north-south temperature contrast across the continent. That's a strong baroclinic zone.
So the temperature difference is already there.
Exactly. Severe storms thrive on those temperature differences. So having that deep pool of cold air already sitting over parts of Europe, contrasting with the warmer Atlantic air, the atmosphere enters this late October period with a huge energy contrast, just waiting to be tapped by these incoming Atlantic systems.
Okay, let's get specific then. Where's the highest risk? All the signs seem to point towards Northwest Europe. We're talking what? Scotland, Western Norway, the North Sea basin?
That seems to be the consensus, yeah.
Yeah.
The primary storm track looks likely to run across or just north of those areas, and the main concern is definitely high winds. The sources suggest a medium probability of severe gales.
Severe gales.
Gusts potentially exceeding 70 miles per hour, particularly in exposed coastal regions. That's obviously a significant risk for transport, for shipping, for energy infrastructure, especially offshore platforms.
It's not just wind, right? That sharp temperature gradient you mentioned brings another hazard, early snow.
Precisely. It's a classic setup. That sharp clash between the cold air to the north and the milder Atlantic air means the northern flank of these systems will likely see precipitation falling as snow, especially over high ground. We're looking at a medium to high probability of disruptive snowfall, potentially 20, maybe 30 centimeters, above about 500 meters in the Scottish Highlands and the mountains of western Norway.
Now, here's something interesting I found trying to synthesize the different guidance. The UK Met Office seems to be leaning towards a windier, wetter period for the UK overall. But then Met Arian in Ireland suggests maybe drier, more settled conditions there. Seems contradictory.
But that divergence isn't a contradiction, it's actually the key. It's the aha moment when you put them together.
Okay.
It's not a model bust. It pinpoints the likely storm track and the features around it. It strongly implies a robust, high-pressure ridge building southwest of the British Isles.
So like a barrier.
Exactly. That ridge acts like a wall. It protects southern Ireland, giving them those more settled conditions you mentioned. But crucially, it deflects the main storm track and the jet stream core sharply northward.
Funneling the worst of it towards Scotland and Scandinavia?
Precisely. It creates a very steep gradient in risk across a relatively short distance. Busy in the north, quiet just to the south.
Okay. And quickly, what about other major risks? Widespread severe cold across the continent, or one of those Mediterranean medicanes?
Both look unlikely based on this pattern. The probability of a major continental cold air outbreak, the kind that needs a big blocking high, is assessed as low. The pattern favors mobility, Atlantic systems moving through, not getting stuck. And the risk of a metacane also looks low for this period.
Right, so let's boil it down. What does this all mean for you listening? The consolidated takeaway seems clear. The highest impact risk is really focused on Northwest Europe. We're talking high winds and disruptive early season snow.
And it's fueled by those global drivers like La Nina, enhancing the jet, the injection of tropical remnant energy, and that already volatile, preloaded atmospheric setup from earlier in October.
Okay, so a final thought then. If you're wanting to track this developing situation, what's the key signal to watch for in the coming days?
Well, for meteorological professionals and keen weather watchers, the thing to monitor closely in the, say, 5 to 7 day forecast charts, specifically the sea level pressure forecasts, is the signature of that bomb cyclogenesis we mentioned. That rapid pressure drop, technically, at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. Seeing that forecast signature would be the most direct precursor signal of an imminent high-impact windstorm event.
The smoking gun, so to speak.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the signal that things are really ramping up.